Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the last part of the Daylong today, featuring Bhante Suddhāso and now Stan, the cat, next to the Buddha. Ajahn Stan. And hello to James, Yin, Gabriella, who is hoping for that things are going well for us, that we are fully rested. We are indeed, because we actually did a lot of meditation practice today, which is lovely. Hello, Bradley. Hello, Ella. Hello, Lilia. And hello, Jens and Scott. Welcome all. So we will be starting by chanting the Ratana Sutta. So there's a link on the live chat, and you're welcome to click it and chant with us. Or if not, listen gladly.
Okay. So we'll go ahead and start with Namo Tassa and then chanting the Ratana Sutta. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Yani bhutani samagatani bhummani vayani vantaleke sabeva bhuta sumana bhavantu atopi sakacha sunantu vasitam tasmahi bhutani sameta sabbe metam karota manusiya pajaya Devacharato chaharanti eva ling tasmahi rakata apamata Yan kinchi vidang idhavahuram vasage suvayam ratanang panitang Nano samang atitathagateena idampi buddhe ratanang panitang Etena sachena suvati hotu Kayang viragam amatang panitang Yadat jagasa kyamuni samahito Natena dhammena samati kinchi idampi dhamme ratanang panitang Etena sachena suvati hotu Yang Buddha Seto Parivannayi Suching Samadhi Manandare Kanyamahu Samadhina Tena Samona Vichati Idampi Dhamme Ratanang Panitang Etena Sachena Suvati Hotu Ye Pungala Artha Satang Pasatha Chatarye Dhani Yogani Honti Te Dakineya Sugata Sasavakai Te Sudinani Mahapalani Idampi Sanghe Ratanang Panitang Etena Sachena Suvati Hotu Yesu payuta manasa dalhena nekamino gotamasa sanamhi te patipata matam vigaiha ladhamutanim putim punchamana idampi sanghe ratanang panitang etena sachena subati hotu Yatinda kilo pataving sito siya chatum vivate via sampakampio Tatupamang samburisam vadami yo arya satchani avichapassati idampi sanghe ratanam panitam yedena satchena suvati hotu ye arya satchani vibhavayanti gambhira panyena sudesitani Kinchapi te honti pusapamata na te bhavanga diyanti idampi sanghe ratanam panitang etena sachena suvati hotu Sahava sadasana sampadaya daya sudhamma jahita bhavanti Sakaya deti vichike chitansha silam patam vapi yadati kinchi Chatuha bhaye hi chavipamuto chachabhitana niyabhambo katum Idampi sanghe ratanang panitang etena sachena suvati hotu Kinchapi sokham karoti papakam kayena vacha urachetasava Abhabbo sota sapatichadaya bhammata dittapada savuta Idampi sanghe ratanang panitang etena sachena suvati hotu Vanapagumbe yatha pusitange gemmanamase patamasmin gemhe Tatupamang dhammavarang adesayi nibbanagaming paramang hitaya Idampi buddhe ratanang panitang etena sachena suvati hotu Varo varanyo varado varaharo anutaro dhamma varangadesayi Idampi buddhe ratanang panitang etena sachena suvati hotu Kinam puranang navang nati sambhavang virata citta ayatike bhavasming Tekina bija virulhin chanda nirbanti dhirayatayam paripo Idampi sanghe ratanam panitam etena sachena suvati hotu Yani bhutani samagatani bhummani vayani vantaleke Tathagatam deva manusa pujitam buddham namasama suvati hotu Yani bhutani samagatani bhummani vayani vantaleke Tathagatam deva manusa pujitam dhammam namasama suvati hotu Yani bhutani samagatani bhummani vayani vantaleke Tathagatam deva manusa pujitam sangham namasama suvati hotu Etena sacha vanjena dukavo pasamentu te Etena sacha vanjena vayavo pasamentu te Etena sacha vanjena rogavo pasamentu te All right, so now we can do some meditation. So please go ahead and get in a meditation posture. So in the Satipaṭṭhāna Sutta, the Buddha clearly says to sit in a cross-legged position. So please try. Optimally, of course, sitting in a full lotus position. Ayasoma did not roll her eyes this time. Impressive. Okay. either she's starting to accept the fact that we should sit in the full lotus, or she's just gotten used to me saying that all the time.
No, Stan distracted me.
Ah.
Ajahn Stan.
Well, Ajahn Stan also tried to sit on my sutta book while I was chanting. So taking a few moments to really make sure your body is well settled on the cushion. So this makes a tremendous difference. Taking a couple minutes at the start of the meditation period to really well establish your posture. This makes a huge difference in terms of how long you can keep the body still and also how comfortable the body can be. So settling into an upright position. Take a few deep breaths. With each breath, letting the body relax. If there's a cat in front of you, stop petting the cat and just focus on bringing your body to stillness. And for a few moments, don't do anything at all. Just let the body and mind be completely still, with no method, no technique, no goal, no activity. Just do nothing for a few seconds. And from that space of doing nothing, slowly allow your attention to coalesce in the body, gradually bringing more and more attention to the body. Using whatever method you've been having success with to establish a clear, direct experience of the body. So whether that's mindfulness of breathing, mindfulness of the whole body, going through the body components, awareness of the four elements, whatever method you've been using, bring your attention solidly, clearly, and precisely to your body. So for the next few minutes, just focus on holding the mind steady on the body, always gradually intensifying the focus, intensifying the strength of one's attention. And do so with a slight smile on your face, relaxed, gentle body, relaxed, gentle mind. with intense awareness of each moment of bodily experience. When the mind is well settled in the body, recognize that the body's sensations are constantly arising and ceasing, appearing and vanishing. That the body itself is insubstantial, empty, hollow. Like a lump of foam or a flickering mirage. Constantly letting go of the illusion of a solid, persistent body. smile and appreciate the peacefulness of the mind. Then you can start slowly moving your body. Relaxing your posture. So we started this morning with studying the first section of the Satipaṭṭhāna Sutta, which is the section on mindfulness of the body. Then we spent the day practicing mindfulness of the body, using the methods that the Buddha spoke about. So at this time, I don't really have anything in particular to say. So this is an opportunity for any questions or comments or reflections you might have on the practices that you've been doing throughout the day based on this section of the sutta. So please, if you have anything you'd like to bring up, please go ahead and type it into the live chat. One thing I will say, though, is that these practices, optimally, again, there's something that we should really dedicate a fair amount of time to. So one day is not enough time to really get a good understanding of even a single technique, let alone several techniques. So with any meditation technique, it's something which one can only really come to a deep understanding of by practicing it intensively over a long period of time. And also, that's the only way one can get any real proficiency with any particular method. So sometimes we might try out a method and we do it for a few minutes and then we think, well, I don't really like this one. I guess it's not the right one for me. But that's really not enough time to know. So it's good to periodically revisit techniques that we've tried in the past and thought that we didn't like or thought that weren't working for us or that we thought weren't helpful. Periodically to revisit those methods, have another go at them and see if something's shifted, see if something's changed. Sometimes as time goes by, and we develop more proficiency with our meditation practice, and we develop a deeper understanding of the Buddha's teachings, then methods which previously were not so helpful suddenly seem quite helpful after all. Or things which we didn't understand before now make much more sense to us. And often we find that the general qualities that we have been developing, so the general qualities which virtually any meditation method will cultivate, mindfulness, samadhi, tranquility, and so on, then map over to a method that we were having a hard time with before. So what we once had a hard time with turns out to be a little bit easier this time around. So those are the main bits of advice I have. One, don't give up too quickly on a method. Really take the time to thoroughly explore it and really give it a shot. And second, from time to time, revisit a method that you haven't used in a while. Maybe something you haven't used in a few weeks or a few months. Pick it up again. Try it on for a period of meditation or maybe a day or maybe a week. And just see what happens. See if maybe your relationship with that method has shifted. See if maybe something has opened up that before seemed to be closed. So at this time, if there's any questions, anything in the live chat yet?
Thank you, Bhante. There are no questions at the moment. There's a lot of hellos.
Well, hello.
Thank you. But they might appear. So welcome to Bradley. Ada is still up from Poland. It's very good. And Lilia, hello, Jens and Scott. So if anyone has a question, you're welcome to type it in the type type chat in the live chat, but that is also a type chat.
So one thing I will say regarding mindfulness of the body in particular. So as I mentioned this morning, this is the main kind of meditation practice that I do. And also, it's among the most commonly recommended meditation methods. So in Theravada Buddhism, the two meditation methods that are most commonly taught are mindfulness of the body of one form or another, and loving kindness. So these are the two most common meditation methods. And there's good reasons for that. So these are very safe, reliable meditation methods which work fairly well for the vast majority of people. So this is why they're so commonly taught. It's why they're so commonly practiced. So even if somebody has little or no experience with meditation, mindfulness of the body is normally something that they can get some experience of. Most people can feel their body at least a little bit. So using that ability to be aware of your own body as a starting point for training the mind is something pretty accessible to the vast majority of people. And loving kindness meditation also is quite safe, it's quite reliable, it's quite readily accessible. I haven't been speaking about it today because it's not the subject of the day. But it's worth mentioning because once again, it is something which is, again, it's very reliable, and also it tends to establish the conditions for strong samadhi. So that's another thing which often comes up. So when people are struggling to do mindfulness practice and samadhi practice and finding it really, really difficult, often it's because the mind is not properly conditioned yet. So one of the ways for conditioning the mind is developing loving kindness, practicing the cultivation of a soft, warm, gentle attitude of mind. And another thing, of course, which is really important is conditioning the mind through all of our activities throughout the day. So practicing kindness and gentleness and consideration and generosity throughout the day. Cultivating this overall approach to every person and situation that we encounter of gentleness and consideration and attentiveness. And then we find that those same qualities then affect how we approach our meditation practice as well. We find that we bring that same gentle, joyful attentiveness to our meditation practice, which then makes it much easier to develop deep, strong samadhi. It makes it much easier to stay present with the object. Again, these methods help to give us the foundation for mindfulness of the body practice. But mindfulness of the body itself, ultimately, it's really a matter of persistence. Just persistently placing the mind on the object, persistently, repeatedly placing the mind on the body. And as time goes by, one's perception of the body gets sharper and clearer. One stays with the body. One's mind wanders away less often. One's attentiveness becomes stronger and stronger. And in this way, one can develop very strong samadhi. One's mind can become very stable and steady and clear. And this provides a foundation for the development of practices of insight, cultivating methods for developing a direct experiential understanding of impermanence and not self. So I really encourage you to take the time to really dig into these methods of mindfulness of the body and to see how you can practice them in a way that's of benefit to you. So if there's no questions, then we'll just stop at this point.
There was
Oh,
actually
lovely.
a Google, yeah, actually YouTube is Google glitch. So
Oh,
now they all appeared.
okay. So apparently there were lots of questions. It's just Google was a
Yeah,
little slow on displaying things for us.
yeah. So James is saying, today I viewed some 90 dead corpses at autopsy, then began a walking meditation stint on and off with sitting, as well visualizing this body at each dead position I saw. And I think there's a follow-up there. The results were that I began to see as I walked this body dead in various positions. At the 4-hour mark, I started letting go more and was able to just view flesh as flesh.
Hmm.
Really freeing. Not to make a pun, but what's a good way to flesh this out?
Well, it sounds like you're on a pretty good track already. So what we're looking for are the results. So we're trying to just recognize the body as a body. It's just physical matter. It's just dirt, water, heat, and air. That's all it is. There's nothing special about it. There's nothing important about it. There's nothing personal about it. And one aspect of it is that it is going to die and decompose. So this is the nature of the body. So it sounds to me like you're already on the right track. So I would encourage you to just keep experimenting with it. Keep playing around with the meditation. Keep going. Yeah.
And Gabriela says, when you're working with mindfulness of the body, is it better to have broad awareness of the entire body, or can it also include the space around it as well?
Again, experiment. See what works. I usually also have awareness of the space around the body, but with a particular focus on the body itself. But yeah, try it out. Try it out. See how it goes, one way or the other. Try both. See how it works.
And Reid says, I think something important I learned here stemmed from Gabby's question earlier, that if things outside the bounds of the chosen object arise in the attention, example, feelings while I'm focusing on the body, it isn't such a big deal.
Mm.
That really took a weight off a concern I've had that's been lingering in the background of my session sometimes. Okay. So that was more of a comment. Ajahn Stan is taking over, even though you can't see him. Oh, here he is.
Okay. Yeah, so it's perfectly fine for there to be things in the periphery of your awareness, as long as they stay in the periphery. Just don't turn your attention towards them. And then there's no problem. Okay, next
All
question.
right. And then Gabriella, actually, Jesus Christ is asking.
Let's call him Jesus.
Jesus is asking, can you elaborate on the jhana, neither perception or non-perception?
Not today, because that's quite outside the scope of today's topic.
And Gabriela says, when focusing on the bodily phenomenon, is it better to focus on one element, or to do the entire set of elemental contemplations, wind, fire, water, earth consciousness, space, etc.?
So, well, for one thing, it really depends on how much time you have. So if you're spending the whole day meditating, then you might actually find that it's more effective to do one element at a time. You can go through all of them in a single meditation period. And in fact, often that's what I do when I'm using that meditation. But you can also do one at a time. So it's really up to you. Generally speaking, the more time you spend on each element, the deeper, stronger, and clearer your perception of that element will become. So, yeah, I mean, either way is really fine. Try it out. See what it feels like. What does it feel like to spend a whole hour just on the earth element? Versus what does it feel like to do a few minutes on each element in turn? Try it out.
And Bradley says, I did some gardening today during my work period, and I noticed the difference that being mindful of my body made. Rather than feeling sensor hurried, it was actually very pleasant and focused.
Great.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good. Um, and Gabriela says it. No problem. I got a cousin named Jesus. I'm kind of surprised it's not a common English name. It's also not a common Italian name either. We don't have anyone called Gesù except for Gesù.
Mm.
It's interesting. And Kevin says, I've been revisiting the Six Elements meditation a few times a week since the retreat we did in it several weeks ago. It's a good one, growing on me. Yeah, it's great. It's great. I'm glad you're having a great.
Yeah, it's a very powerful method. So I'm glad that you're getting some progress with it.
And Bhante, sorry, and Bradley, who might be a future Bhante, is asking, is disenchantment and dispassion something that arises naturally when we see impermanence or not self, or is it something we should intentionally develop, or both?
I would say both. So it is important to intentionally develop disenchantment and dispassion. So disenchantment, again, is recognizing that there's no value in getting obsessed with things, such as cats, for example. And there's no value in trying to seek happiness in things because they're impermanent, unreliable, and unsatisfying, including cats. To some degree, as you develop the recognition of impermanence, the awareness of the three characteristics, anicca, dukkha, anatta, then disenchantment will arise on its own. But also, as you develop disenchantment, then it becomes easier to let go, which includes letting go of our delusion of permanence, satisfactoriness, and self-nature. So these practices go hand in hand. So the intentional cultivation of disenchantment and dispassion and the cultivation of insight into the three characteristics, these support each other. They go hand in hand. Okay.
Great. And Gabriella says, Bhante, when we're using the physical practice of bodily awareness, is it better to start away from or directly at the sense basis?
I don't quite understand what you mean away from the six sense bases. Nothing is away from the six sense bases. I don't quite understand.
So, Gabriella, if you want to add some a follow-up, we can get back to that. And Mark says, I have a friend who has an unhelpful cycle because of anxiety and not knowing what to say around people that developed early in childhood. Now it causes them to break promises or procrastinate, which makes more anxiety. Do you have something to say about that?
Yeah, don't try to fix people if they don't want to be fixed. And also recognize your own limits, your limits in terms of your ability to help others. So check to see what is it that you're actually capable of doing for this person. And in terms of my ability to say anything helpful, the most important question is this person a Buddhist practitioner? If they're not, then my advice is not really relevant at all. And they're much better off just going to see a therapist. But if the person is a Buddhist practitioner, then they can talk to me and they might have something useful to say. Okay.
Right. And Scott says, Bhante, you've emphasized samadhi's role in practice. Tonight mentioned that mindfulness of the body is a primary practice for you. I'm curious what your particular practice is for mindfulness of the body and if you develop deep samadhi from it. Thank you.
Yeah, so my usual practice is to feel my whole body with my mind centered on my hands. So focused on my hands as the primary area of attention. And yeah, I've had a lot of success cultivating strong samadhi with this method. So keeping the body still and the mind still, centered on the hands, aware of the whole body. and cultivating this sharp, intense, powerful awareness of the body uh, without moving the mind at all. This is really important. If you want strong samadhi, don't move your body or your mind at all. Very important. Rapidly improve your samadhi. So, yeah, definitely. Yeah. Stillness of body and mind. This is the key to samadhi, stillness. Okay.
And Mariel says, Dan has such a good karma to end up with you. Oh, right now he thinks otherwise.
He's in his dukkha mood.
Yeah, he's in his dukkha mode. He's like, if only I could be with another family right now. Another caretaker.
Now, cats are a great example of dukkha. Well, at least Dan is. I don't know about other cats. Because he's always dissatisfied, no matter what. It's never quite enough for him.
Except sometimes when he gets cheese and he's he's experiencing a lot of sukha before the dukkha. So James says, if you get time, does corpse contemplation lead to samadhi? I assume it would and don't see why not.
So I should be honest that I haven't spent much time doing corpse contemplation. It's one category of meditations that I don't do often. I've only dabbled in a bit here and there. So I can't speak from personal experience about it leading to strong samadhi. My understanding is that its purpose is more towards disenchantment with the body and letting go of, in particular, one's attachment to identification with the body. Letting go of the sense of specialness that we tend to have towards the body. So I would actually put the decomposition meditations more in the category of insight practice, because it's more about cultivating the perception of not self and letting go of the attachment to youth, the attachment to life, attachment to the body. Those are my thoughts anyway.
And Buddha says, Bhante, sometimes when practicing mindfulness of the body during sitting, I felt my whole body like freezing. What should I do? Like freeze, like the body freezes, not freezing, shivering cold.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, it's fine. Those things can happen. Yeah, no big deal. Just keep doing the meditation.
And Sally says, Bhante, what do you mean by mind proliferating is okay? I thought when there's mind proliferating, we need to solve this problem.
Did I ever say mind proliferating is okay? I don't think I said that. Doesn't sound like something I would say. Yeah, I don't think I would say that. No. I mean, what I do make a distinction is between unintentional background noise in the mind versus intentional thinking. So intentional thinking, we should definitely not do. Most of the time, whether we're meditating or not, we shouldn't be engaging in intentional thinking because most of the time it's utterly useless and a complete waste of time. But especially during meditation, it's almost always useless, almost always a waste of time. So mental proliferation, I usually put in the category of intentional thinking. So definitely not to be done. But there are also mental objects which can appear as the result of our past activities, as the result of past karma. And that we can't really do anything about them except to patiently endure them as they float through the mind without getting distracted by them and without participating in them and without turning the mind towards them. So that's fine. That's like your neighbor playing their radio. It's just some background noise, which is not a problem unless you decide it's a problem. You just keep doing your meditation practice without turning your attention towards that those background noise in the mind. So those are my thoughts on the subject.
And Gabriella elaborated on the question that she asked earlier. So I'll repeat the question so you remember. With regard to the space around, oh, sorry. When we are using the physical practice of bodily awareness, is it better to start away from or directly at the sense spaces? And then she says, I meant at the head area where the eye, tongue, nose, and ear base are.
It doesn't really matter where you place your attention as long as you don't move it. Okay?
Mm-hmm. And Jesus says, why are the 10 fetters separated into the lower and higher fetters?
So, Jesus, you ask interesting questions, but they're off topic. So we'll have to save those for another day when they're on topic. Or save them for a monk chat session when people can ask whatever they like.
Yeah, for monk chat. Right now we're doing basically 4 Daylongs on the 4 foundations of mindfulness. So you can ask questions related to that topic. And Reed says, just to clarify for me, the key to strong samadhi is to just remain on the object, to just set the attention there and not move, to do nothing more except solidify the attention more.
Yeah, I mean, the most direct path to samadhi is just hold completely still with complete alertness. And it actually doesn't matter the slightest bit what object you use, or you can even use no object at all. The important thing is that your body and mind are completely still and completely alert. That is sufficient, just there. There's some other little tips and tricks that one can use in order to speed up the process, but ultimately that's all that it takes. Completely still body, completely still mind, completely alert. That's it.
And Victor says, I do meditation half an hour. I hear sound status in background. Is that okay? In the first 15 minutes, I have so much think, but after just sound like radio status. Is that okay?
Static? Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
What does that mean, radio status?
Static. So you might be encountering what some meditation teachers call the sound of silence. Which is a little bit like this constant buzzing or humming or static-like sound in the background of the mind. And it's always there. So this can make a very useful samadhi object, actually. So many meditation teachers use this, including, again, Ajahn Sumedho is one of the most well-known, but also many other monastics use this method and teach this method. So yeah, if it's there, that's actually no problem. It's probably just a sign that you're becoming more aware, that your mindfulness is getting stronger. And it can even be used as a meditation object if you wish. Some people have really good success with that. I've dabbled with it a bit here and there. For a while, I was using it together with mindfulness of the body. So using those two objects simultaneously, and I found that quite effective for me. I don't use it much these days, but it's there. It's there as an option. Yeah.
And Kevin says, or tinnitus, tinnitus.
It could also be tinnitus, and that's also a perfectly acceptable meditation object.
Or tinnitus, maybe, haha, especially if you live in New York City. And James says, I have subtle tinnitus. How do you say? Tinnitus, very difficult word. And sometimes use it with good results for samadhi too.
Isn't it from Latin?
Yeah, we would say tinnitus, but you can, in English you make all these weird pronunciations.
That is true. We do have odd ways of pronouncing Latin. I don't know why.
Me neither. But it's okay, because then I'm happy to use Latin words so I understand. Um, Gabriella says, I usually struggle with bodily mindfulness due to the stark, overpowering Vedana sensations. I usually ignore and suppress simply because I have an inflammatory condition which results in a lot of pain. Without a doubt, my pain has been reduced by attention, but rather attention to chitta, and it shows. I think too much to avoid body pain. So you help me uncover an insight.
Yeah, so it's really important for you to stop ignoring your body. I really can't emphasize this enough. Yes, your body hurts, but if you can learn how to pay attention to your body, then you can learn how to be okay with the pain, which is much better than ignoring the pain. Much better than ignoring your body in order to try to avoid the pain. Again, we'll talk more about this tomorrow with the section on Vedana.
And Sally is asking, during meditation, I had repeating thoughts of what happened. I realized it's due to craving to an idea. Is this intention or back noise?
Well, it depends on whether or not you're involved in it. If you're totally focused on your meditation practice and there just happens to be this noise in the background of your mind, then there's no problem. But if your attention is moving towards it and it's persisting and there's that element of involvement, then you need to stop. So you need to look for yourself and really see, am I participating in these thoughts? Am I involved in these thoughts? If the answer is no, then there's no problem. It's just noise and it will go away on its own eventually. But if the answer is yes, you are involved in it, then you need to stop because you're just making yourself agitated. You're just distracting yourself for no good reason.
Oh, and Gabriela says, I'm going to do my best to bring attention to the body and do my best to try and become aware, Bhante. I'm just very happy you helped me realize I do this.
Great.
And often.
Great. Yeah, there is light at the end of the tunnel. Paying attention to body sensation, we can learn how to not be disturbed by pain. And this is an incredible skill to develop. And it's also a part of the path to enlightenment. Okay.
And James says, Aya powers activate. Especially keeping up with our comments. And Reed finds my mispronunciation charming. Tinnitus. And Kevin says, Bhante, if I may often, talking about, speaking of mispronunciation, Bhante, if I may, often I'll get little rushed of joy, maybe rapture, tingly, pleasant feeling through the body. Sometimes I crave for it and try to give rise to it. Unskillful?
It depends on the results. So I do sometimes talk about intentionally producing physical euphoria as a shortcut to samadhi. And this works as long as we don't get excited by the sensation. And it works as long as we don't get obsessed with it. And it works as long as we remember that our goal is samadhi, not pleasant body sensation. So it can be effective as long as we recognize that it's just a springboard to samadhi. It's not something we do for its own sake. Okay?
And Sally says, so should I just let any thoughts go first in meditation, then find a later time to think how this craving coming from, compared with right view, and try to correct it so that craving can decrease?
Yeah, I would really encourage you just to focus on developing mindfulness and samadhi. So that means letting go of whatever thoughts appear, not getting involved in them, not investigating them, not exploring them. Just focusing on your body, keeping your mind on your body, not moving the mind at all. In this way, your samadhi will become very strong, very powerful, which then means that later on, when you do investigation practices, they'll be much more effective But for now, really work on your samadhi. You'll also find that as your samadhi grows, then a lot of these problems just evaporate on their own. Okay?
Maria says, sometimes we're more affected by the idea of pain than by pain itself. Same
Yeah.
applies to fear.
Yeah. Facts. True.
Very wise, Maria. Brava.
Yeah.
And Reed says, as long as we don't get excited by the sensation, he's quoting you. Boom, that makes perfect sense. And James is like, intentional rapture? Wow, okay. Yes, we just need to see the rapture as anicca. Yes. I love your enthusiasm. You guys are great. And Kevin says, I'll be honest, I do sometimes get excited about it, kind of like a hit. So I'll look at that more. And Gabriela says, that's a really good question. Happens more with me when I do Vedananupassana, Chittanupassana, and Dhammanupassana. The deep euphoric states comes, and that's how I usually suppress pain. But I'm going to do the opposite now. I'm going to intentionally do body contemplation. Oh, she sounds like me. That's normally what I tell myself. I'm like, okay, and now just do body contemplation. Great. And yeah, that's all.
Yeah, well, just addressing that last point, sometimes it's really useful to ask ourselves, what are my weak areas? And really work on strengthening those weak areas. If we just do what we're good at all the time, then, there's some benefit to that. But it also means that our growth will be somewhat stunted and incomplete. So yeah, it's good to ask ourselves, like, what am I weak in? And then make an effort to develop in that area. Okay. So if that's it for the evening, we can go ahead and close. And we'll be starting again at 8 a.m. with the Vedana Satipatthāna.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much, Bhante. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So as Bhante mentioned, we'll be meeting tomorrow at 8 a.m. New York City time. We'll be studying the second part of the sutta. And then just like today, we'll have a session at 2:30 p.m. and then another one at 7:30 p.m. all New York City time. So very, very good stuff. Thank you so much, Bhante, for tirelessly teaching us. And thank you guys for being awesome practitioners, really interested in the Dhamma and most importantly, practicing the Dhamma. So big sadhu to you as well. And have a great